Hello everybody, welcome to Recover Lab TV. My name's Chris, I'm your coach and sports therapist, and welcome to this video. It is all about what I am packing for Ironman 70.3 Swansea this Sunday. I thought I'd share it with you just for those who are kind of potentially wondering, have they got the right stuff? Maybe it's your first half Ironman or your first triathlon, and you just kind of want to make sure that you've got all the right things. So if that is you, you've come to the right place. I will literally go from waking up, breakfast, all the way to kind of out on a run. The nutrition is included as well. All right, so you're in safe hands. Now, if it is your first time here, or maybe you've been here multiple times and you just haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, become a part of the community. I would love to have you here. It is growing, it is great, and yeah, it's really, really amazing to see. So thank you for those who have, and thanks for watching. Now, for those who've watched my latest videos on nutrition, latest videos on race anxiety, will know that from tonight, it is Thursday night, I'm going to be drinking my Precision 1500 salt tabs in this bottle, so I'll be cracking on with that after this video. I'll also be having that kind of all day tomorrow and all day Saturday, and then kind of into kind of Sunday morning I'll start my morning with one of those tablets in this very bottle. For those who are racing for the first time, this is the kind of electrolyte bottle that you'll be getting out on the course. I'll also be filling it with a couple scoops of this powder. So 2 scoops equals 30 carbs and 500 grams of sodium. And then because I am a sweaty, salty sweater, if you will, I use the 1500 tabs, but I'm going to chuck that in there. So technically it's 2000 milligrams, but if you check the weather, it is going to be a scorcher on race day. So I'm kind of like preloading my body ready for the day ahead, if you will. I'll then be having a couple of these Belvita bars. It's about 200 calories per pack. I'll be having 2 packs to get 400 kind of calories, if you will, into my stomach. For me, it's a nice easy breakfast. It's something that I can eat slowly as I'm kind of getting ready in the hotel room and then going across to transition. All of a sudden I wake up on race day and I'm not necessarily the most hungry, so for me I've found that that's a nice easy breakfast before I kind of go into the race itself. Now, I've got my Garmin heart rate strap that I'll put underneath my Ryzen tri-suit. For me, I tend to wear Ryzen just because I'm a taller person. I've worn it for years now and it kind of fits me really, really comfortable. So I'm kind of just under 6'5". I've got long arms, long legs, and it's a full tri-suit, full zip, long zip, which is great. And yeah, I can't rate them highly enough. Once I've chucked that on and I've topped up with some chamois cream. Now I recommend you doing this after you've visited transition, in transition, just because generally race nerves happen and you'll be going to the toilet a million times, and if you add this on in transition, then naturally you're not wasting any, because chamois cream can be relatively expensive depending on which one you're getting. Now, another thing I do before I put my wetsuit on is apply some baby oil. Now, the reason why I apply some baby oil to my calves, my kind of literally lower leg from knee down to kind of ankle, and my forearms, is because it literally allows me to get that wetsuit off a little bit quicker after the swim, kind of going into kind of transition 1, and as I'm running across, and then literally it whips off super easy. So highly recommend slapping on some baby oil onto your forearms, onto your lower legs, because it will help that wetsuit come off nice and quickly. Another thing I use to stop my neck from rubbing, and I literally go just underneath, say, my t-shirt, so about roughly there where the kind of collarbone hits my shoulder, if you will. As I'm coming up, I go right up to here, especially as I've kind of shaved my head recently, purely because the wetsuit cap will then buckle and fold just on the back of my head, just by here. So as you're sighting, it tends to kind of rub a little bit more. I slap this on, literally slap this on. The worst thing I found you can do in the sea or in the swim is have some sort of wetsuit rash that kind of is there every time you kind of rotate, every time you move one of your arms, and it's just rubbing and rubbing and rubbing. So apply as much as you can. For me, I've used Body Glide since I've started this kind of 10 years ago now. So it's a great product, and it completely hypoallergenic, so it doesn't give you any rashes, and it washes off nice and easy, so you don't have to worry about it later on in the day, and so on. Another thing I use is surf ears, because 5 years ago I had a wicked ear rash, ear infection should I say, in COVID, doing all the sea swimming in my left ear, and since wearing those, I haven't had a single problem with my ears. So I wear them every race. I wear them every time I swim in the sea or the pool. Literally wearing them this morning. So can't rate them enough. They allow the sound in, but they stop all the water from getting in. And then effectively, they're two little earbuds that kind of sit on a little kind of string, if you will. I'll show you. It's probably easier. And then your head fits into this section. It's kind of nice and stretchy, and then you literally just pop it on and then pull these around the back of your head, just like so, and they pop underneath your swim cap. Some of the best earbuds that I've ever found. So if you are prone to infections, initially they're surfing kind of earbuds, but they work perfectly, and I wear mine for everything, water sports, surfing included. Something I do between half an hour and 15 minutes before the race is I take on some nutrition. For this, I've got a Precision Fuel Hydration 30 gram gel. It just allows me to kind of get that extra energy in. Plus then obviously I've been drinking this from the moment I've woken up to when I leave transition, because I tend to give it, put it in my Ironman bag, give it to my partner, and then she'll wear that for the day and use that however she wants to. I'll then take on this extra just before race. Like I said, 30 to 15 minutes before. It allows me to have that little bit of injection in regards to energy into the swim, and then hopefully allow me to push my performance and not deplete so much carbohydrates as I'm kind of swimming, just because during the swim I don't have the opportunity to take on any more nutrition, should I say. Now, I wear a Roka Maverick wetsuit. I won't get it out, but it's in here. I only ever wear this wetsuit for racing or just before racing. It's a brilliant wetsuit. Again, I've had that for 5 years and it's still looking brand new. It's got a little bit of wear and tear in the armpit, but nothing major. So I should hopefully get a few more races out of it and a few more seasons. Now, I tend to wear the Speedo kind of Speed Socket 2s for race day. They are just really comfortable and kind of fit my face really well. I've worn them for years, since I kind of started Ironman, and I've worn them ever since. That's my second pair in 10 years, so they've lasted very, very well. And they fit like a glove. I don't have any leakages, and I tend to literally wear them race day or kind of building up to race day, so I just get used to the fit. And I kind of wear them underneath my swim cap, and then I'll put my race swim cap over the top, just so if someone does brush my head, they're not taking my goggles off, right? So that's really important. So if you are a first timer, stick your goggles underneath your swim cap, okay? Just because of that. Now, in Swansea, similar to Ironman Wales, you have the opportunity to wear footwear as you come out of the water and as you run to kind of transition one. Now, this will be, what was it, year 4 or 5 for Swansea. I think it's 4. So far, only last year was the first year that they gave you an extra bag. It was a yellow transition bag for your shoes. They had racks over by the swim exit that you could come up, around, grab your shoes and chuck them on and then run over. It will make it more comfortable, I'm not going to lie, because the road is a normal road surface, and then you jump up the curb, and then it's kind of like slated cobbles, if you will, and then it goes onto a bridge. On the right hand side is where you'll run, so they put like a black kind of carpet over it, which makes it slightly better. By the time you get to transition, though, last year balls on my feet were a little bit sore. Now, it didn't bother me the rest of the day. However, what you'll probably find is if you have quick shoes that you can just chuck on, they will make a bit of a difference in regards to being a little bit more comfortable. Ironman Wales, certainly, because it's a kilometre, you're going to need trainers, okay? And they put those along the zigzags in kind of like your little pink bags, if you will. Now, a shoe, as random as this looks, this is a Vivo barefoot shoe. It is basically for kind of beaches, paddle boarding, and so on and so forth. These are made out of bio bloom. So it's kind of like bloom algae, if you will. And they have tons of holes in. They are absolutely battered, as you can see. And I've had these for years and years and years. And I've done tons of transitions in them for any sort of race from Ironman Wales and so on and so forth, because they just don't get damaged. The water kind of drips out of them, and I chuck them in a box ready for next time. So I'll be wearing these on transition just to kind of stop my feet from getting sore. They're elasticated and literally just slide on and easy to pull off. Highly recommend them if this is your kind of sport and you're kind of doing this all the time and you have several races, like if you're building up for Ironman Wales now. They're a great shoe and literally great for your feet as well. Now, sliding into kind of T1, if you will. In my bag at the moment, I've also got my bike nutrition, which I'll be putting on in the morning before the race. So I've got my X-Lab Torpedo, which I'll be putting some fuel in, some water in. They're going to have 2 scoops and a salt tablet. Okay, there's roughly 500 mils in this bottle, and then my Garmin just sits on the top here, and then that tells me all my data, and it also tells me to eat every 15 minutes and drink every 10 minutes. Okay, now I've got this flow gel that's got 300 grams of carbs in, although I'm going to be taking out 120 and putting it into this little flow gel bottle ready for the run. Inside the bike variation of the flow gel, I've got another little tube, one of these tubes of the 1500 tablets. Now I've purposely got an almost empty tube with 3 salt tablets in. One for obviously race morning in my other bottle, one for this torpedo, and then one for my water bottle in the back. Okay. Now I'm going to be adding necessary scoops into all of these bottles, and then I'm going to be adding the flow gel into this bottle and having this in between my legs as I'm riding. Now it's a nice easy squeezy bottle that kind of will push the gel out quite easy, but inside the bottle, just so I don't lose them, I have those salt tablets, and I also have some chews which will replace the 120 grams that I'm losing in the run from this. Okay. Now, because it's going to be a scorcher, right, I'm going to be coming out and spraying. Now, this is something that most people forget, sun cream, right? I'm going to be spraying on my forearms and on my arms, just because I'm going to be sat like that for a couple of hours. I'm also going to be spraying on the back of my neck and my legs kind of coming down. Now, the reason why I buy a canister one is because I don't want any on my hands, right? With the bike, I find it incredibly dangerous if you're oiling up your hands and then holding onto your brakes, holding onto your bars. It just makes it a little bit slipperier. The spray speeds it up because I can literally rotate. I don't have to rub it in because it will naturally absorb as I'm out there riding and so on. So that's well worth a shout, especially on this Sunday, because it is going to be boiling, and the highs are, I think, roughly around 28, 29 degrees. So it's going to be very, very hot. I've got a no pins race bib. So the bib literally just sits on an elasticated waist, and then kind of folds into this little kind of poly pocket, if you will. Literally, I've had it years, and it kind of like slides around the back, and then all I do then is pull it around the front, and then I'm on the run. It's brilliant for the bibs being protected, not tearing, being well looked after. So if you do want to frame them afterwards, know that they're not going to get hammered and tear off or disappear. So you don't have to stress about that, and it's just super easy to use. I've got, if you've seen in previous videos, these beautiful little silicone bags. They just kind of tear open, and everything's inside. Now inside this, I've got a little chamois towel that's great for drying my feet. I've also got kind of some chamois cream in a little food bag. It's brilliant because you can kind of spin it around, use it as a glove, drop it down your tri-suit. You don't have to worry about anybody because no one could see. You literally have a little rummage round, rub all the chamois cream onto your bits, and then you've got none of it on your hand. I've got another 30 gram gel that I'll be taking on the way out of transition. And then I've got some talcum powder, right? The reason why I have talcum powder is because the towel is really good for the feet, but generally your feet tend to still be a little bit damp, a little bit clammy. So I just talc in between the toes instead of rubbing in between the toes, and then that way it kind of stops me getting any sort of rubbing on my feet, and just looks after my overall foot health before I chuck a pair of socks on. Then it's literally my cycling shoes. Now I use the Speed Play pedals. So if you do, just make sure you're lubricating this top bar and this bottom bar before your race, just so you've got an easy clip in and clip out. Most conventional SPD shoes won't necessarily need any of that kind of treatment, but if you're like me and you use the Speed Play, then just double check that as well. I've got my Oakley sunglasses, and I've got this absolute lifesaver by Muck Off. Any sort of flats, any sort of punctures, literally you can just nip off, plug this down. It will inflate your tire and also pump it with kind of this sealant stuff that's inside that you can kind of shake and seal. I've had this every single race that I have. I take it every single ride I go out on, and it just sits in my back pocket for peace of mind. Touch wood, I've only known someone to use that once in Bolton, and it saved their Ironman race. And then it's the old helmet that initially you'll be sticking your sticker right on the front just by here. Okay, so that's the bike done. Coming out of the bike and going into T2 after a super fast, super successful bike, may I add. Wishing everyone the best for race day. I've got another one of these Morton kind of packs, and inside I've got Compeed plasters, right? In one of their little Compeed cases that I've just kept and I just refill for races. Just one of these, just find them brilliant. Now I'm quite prone to blisters on the inside of the arch of my foot, so just out of kind of precaution, I'll pull my sock down to kind of like the ball of my foot. I'll place that plaster over where I tend to get that blister, and then I'll pull my sock back up, and then job done. I've got a spare chamois in a bag where I literally can re-rub just in case, especially this weekend. You're going to be super sweaty, super salty, super wet and moist. So adding that additional chamois cream on will stop you rubbing and stop you getting sore on the run, because naturally, if there's any breeze, we're right next to the coast, right next to the beach, and it's going to be blowing sand to us and potentially sticking to our legs and so on and so forth. So just be aware of that. That might cause that rubbing. So it's well worth a shout just to be safe and sorry. I've got another gel, okay, to take in transition. I've got my kind of super fast Nike trainers that I'm going to be wearing just for the bounce and the carbon plate. I've got a white kind of precision hat with lots of air room and so on and so forth, just to kind of reflect some of that heat from my hairless head, if you will. Last thing I want is sunstroke or kind of sunburn. After transition 1, I'm going to be popping this into my T2 bag, my sun cream, to reapply as I go out and onto the race again. Got my flow gel, which I'm going to be filling up the morning of, and then I've got 2 extra gels for my back pocket, just for extra nutrition, because I imagine it's going to be super hot and I'm going to be burning through a lot of carbs to regulate my body. Now, you also get a white bag for your streetwear clothing, right? So for that, I tend to wear a pair of sliders, okay, just before race, as I'm kind of going to transition and so on, purely because I will put them in my streetwear bag for afterwards, and zip that up, hand that in, generally to the kind of army cadets that kind of are there in their hundreds, and they look after all of us. They'll take the white bags off us, stick them in the truck, and then after the finish line, when you walk in through to the marquee, your streetwear bag is there. You can slide off your trainers because you had a long day, slip on your slide-ons because your feet will thank you for it, and then generally I'll have like a dry robe on, or depending on, because it's going to be a warm one, I'm debating whether or not to have the dry robe, just because it might be too warm and I might not need it, and then it's a lot of space for what it is. So I might have some sort of hoodie just to kind of chuck over the top, so I'm warm in the morning. And then a great little bag that I have, I say little, it's massive, is this bag by Sea Monster. It's designed for surfing, beaches and open water swimming. It's a 70-litre bag with these 2 giant compartments. Generally, one's for wet side, that you have like a little changing mat that kind of slides in and out. And then you have a dry side this side. Now, I tend to use it for race weekends as well. I just take out the mat, and then all of this stuff will be in nice individual bags in there, ready for me when I get to the hotel. I've done my registration tomorrow morning, and literally all I do is lay out my bags, my transition bags, put my stickers on, and then I literally just take out each of these bags out of this one and then put it into my transition bag. So it's super simple, takes all of the stress away, and then when I'm knackered and I've done the race, all I have to do is dump it into this gigantic bag, stick it in the boot of my car, and then off I go back home, right? So Sea Monster is well worth a little look, just because it makes life easier. But yeah, so I hope this has helped potentially clear some things up. I know I've done some other videos like this before, depending on other races, but I thought I'd just do one based on this race to one, potentially help you out. This might be the first video you've ever seen of mine, and yeah, hopefully it's kind of calmed some anxiety down, or made it a little bit clearer for you with your race. But if you are racing Swansea this week, please come and say hello to me. If you see me around transition, the village, on race day, give me a little high five. And yeah, don't be a stranger. It'd be amazing to see you. It's an incredible community. I'm grateful to be part of that community, and I'm also grateful to be growing this channel with you guys. So thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you have an incredible race day, whatever your time is, whatever your experiences are. By all means, drop me a message on Instagram if you want to send a private message. But yeah, I wish you nothing but the best, right? Have an incredible weekend. I'll see you soon, and hopefully see you down there, right? Take care.